Okay, I think we are recording now. Yay, technology, yay. Well, welcome back to another episode of The Everyday Dog. This is where we talk about things that you can and should be doing with your dog every single day to make your training easier and more efficient, and just your life with your dog so much more peaceful and better. So, who am I? My name is Cindy Scott. I am the director and founder of Dogs Etc. Dog Training, where it's all about enriching dogs' lives through behavior, through training, through education, enrichment. It's all about what's going to lead your dog to have a healthier and happier life, and you with them for sure. So let me just make sure we are on and everything is good. Okay, perfect. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is how to read a food label, what to know to feed your dog. Oh my God, that's bad grammar, but you know what I mean. Yesterday, we talked about how to make mealtime training time as a way to make mealtime more important and more efficient for your dog to learn, and as a way to remind you to work with your dog, because again, training is easy to do, but it's oh so easy not to do. And that's what this is all about. It's keeping you on track so you can keep your dog on track. Okay, so what to feed your dog. Now, I know it can be really confusing because there's so many different options out there, and you ask 10 different people and you're going to get 10 different opinions, and everybody's adamant that their way is the only way. It's almost like trainers. Oh my gosh, I know what that's like. So take this information and tweak it to what's going to work for you. Not everything works for every situation. Not everything is for everybody. And especially when it comes to our own physiologies, we all have our own chemistry. We all have our own makeup. The diet that works for me may not work for you. There's hereditary factors involved. There's ancestral factors involved. I mean, genetics really does play a big part in our makeup. So please take these, tweak them to what works for you, and absolutely talk to your veterinarian about this and see what's going to work best for your dog. Now, if you're doing a diet for your dog and your dog is having some irritable bowel syndromes, is having lots of pooping all day long, maybe it's not the best diet. And the reason I say that is this whole grain-free thing is kind of a marketing. It's not for everybody. And myself included, my dogs don't do well on a grain-free. But there's differences in grains. So if you're noticing your dog not doing well, talk to your veterinarian about it and perhaps try something else. So what are the options? There's really three / 4 main options to feed your dog. Number one is the good old dry food, the kibble. It's easy, it's efficient, it's easy to store, you can travel with it. Dry food, it's very easy to do. And then with the dry food is the canned food. Again, it's already prepared. It's easy to just grab a can and open it up. The ease of the prepared meals can't be beat. So your prepared commercial foods would be your dry food, your kibble, your canned food, okay? Another avenue to go would be raw food, the barf diet, as it's called, the bones and raw food. Barf. See, you'll always remember that, won't you? So bones and raw food, and there are some benefits to doing a raw food diet for us too. A lot of the things that I'll talk about for the dogs and for the animals is transferable to humans as well. So raw food, what's the deal with raw food? It's not processed, it's not cooked. And what happens with food is the more it's cooked and processed, the more we're destroying all the nutrients. all the enzymes, all the vitamins, all the good stuff is being killed out, especially doing the higher the temperature, the higher the likelihood that you're going to kill out all the nutrients. If that makes sense. So raw food or foods cooked at a very low temperature, what is it? It's like 115, 118, 120 degrees, somewhere in there. Maybe less, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But that's when you start to cook things out. So for yourself, the more uh, fruits and vegetables that you can eat raw, the more you're going to retain those minerals and vitamins. And even if you eat a little bit of good fat with it, like some whole food nuts, uh, a lot of vitamins and minerals are fat soluble. So if you have a couple of half a dozen walnuts, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot. Take half a dozen walnuts with your smoothie or your salad, and you're going to absorb more of the nutrients. Same thing with your dog. So raw food, the less it's processed, the more nutrition it's going to contain. Okay. And dogs' digestive systems are different than ours. They are carnivores where, their intestinal tract is like this. Ours goes like this. So the longer that it's in there, the more you can absorb bacteria, salmonella, those types of things. So dogs aren't as prone to having those contaminations as humans are. They can still get it, to be sure. That's why you want to make sure the food that you're feeding your dog is at a safe level. And the raw food you can buy frozen, prepared. That's the way I feed it because it's just easy, right? It comes in like hamburger patty type situations that are either, of course, raw meat, whatever the meat is, turkey, chicken, salmon, beef, whatever it is. Plus, a lot of times they'll throw in some raw veggies, spinach, kale, broccoli, which is all good for your dog, to be sure. So you have the prepared raw food that you can do. There's also the prepared raw food that's dehydrated. So raw food, you do have to be, because it's raw, you do have to be careful of cross-contamination. Again, dogs may not be as susceptible to salmonella and the E. coli and all of that we are, but we are. So if you're preparing it, you want to make sure that if you put it like on your countertop, you want to make sure that you clean that very well. So you have to be hyper vigilant that there's not cross-contamination, especially if you live with someone that has a compromised immune system, someone that's on chemotherapy, HIV treatment, anything where you have to be careful, because if they get sick, they really get sick. So if that's not a good option for you, there is the dehydrated, oops, that's a brand. And I have no affiliation with these companies, so don't even think I'm promoting anybody. This just happens to be what was in my cupboard. But it's dehydrated, and they put it through a process where it is, it's like a pressure process. I forget what they call it, but it's a pressurized process where it does kill out bacteria. So this is a good option for you if you're in that situation and you want to do a raw food diet with your dog. And the raw food, it comes as a topper. I think this is the topper. Oh no, this was the patties. It comes in small patties. It comes in big patties. It comes in little like toppers, like little chunks that you can sprinkle on their dry food. Or if you have a toy breed dog, that it gives you a better measurement of how much to feed the dog. And of course, with whatever diet you choose that's commercially prepared, it'll have on the back, your dog's body weight and how much they should be getting a day. People ask me, how much should I feed my dog a day? And it really depends on what you're feeding them, So the best rule of thumb is whatever the package says. You want to feed them that, but maybe a little bit less. because of course they want you to feed more because they want you to buy more. So maybe just a little bit less of whatever it is that they're telling you to feed. But the freeze dried, not only is it good for meals, this is a great treat. So this is something that you can sprinkle in your dry food kibble and put in a baggie and take with you as a treat. Or if you need a really high value treat, just bring this as a treat and you can break off little chunks of it. So freeze dried raw food is an option. So you've got the kibble, the canned food, the commercially prepared foods. You've got a raw food diet. And then the other main one is home cooking. Now, home cooking, definitely something that you can do, something that you can look into with your dog. I'll go sit back there. Definitely something that you can look into, feeding your dog. It's not very practical though. Let me put it that way. So if you have 100-pound dog and you're home cooking for your dog, that's a lot of work. You can crock pot it and then break it into, meal-sized portions and then freeze it. So you can do like a week's worth and then freeze a week's worth and then just break it out as needed. But that's still a lot of work. And I love my dogs, but I barely cook for myself. So home cooking is really, I think, a great option for the smaller dogs. If you have a smaller dog, it's much more practical to do that. If you have a 10-pound dog or less, you can easily crock pot a week's worth and just freeze it into your portions that you're going to need. But if you're home cooking for your dog, that's something you definitely want to be in, have a conversation with your vet. A lot of vets will have recipes. There's a million recipes online, but I would definitely talk to your vet about your dog's nutritional needs. How much calcium do they need? Usually with the home cooking, you have to add in some supplementation. I didn't bring out the supplements I give my dogs. Oh, that's a topic for another day, I guess. Multivitamin your dog is going to need, depending on your dog's age, their physicality, if they have any conditions, if they need some additional calcium or B vitamins or whatever. I mean, the list goes on and on. So definitely have that conversation with your vet if you're thinking about doing home cooking. And then the other option is what I do, and that's a combination of all of the above. You don't have to pick one or the other. I mostly feed a diet of dry food just because that's what's easy for me. But I'll throw in some of the dehydrated raw food as a topper, as a special treat. I will occasionally home cook for them. I do a lot of leftovers for my dogs, things that I have left over. That I'll mix in their kongs. Basically, that's what I put in their kongs, like potato skins. I mostly eat vegan whole food. That's the diet that I'm on. I don't want to say it's a diet. That's just kind of my choice of what I eat is whole foods. And so I'm not doing a lot of processed food for me. So anything that's left over is not processed. I'm not giving them, I don't know. I can't even think of processed food. I'm not giving them Oreos or whatever. Let me put it that way. Potato skins, I get a lot of. If I'm making a salad and I have leftover tomatoes or carrots, green beans, those types of things, I'll shove in a Kong for them, and I'll zhuzh up their food that way. But you can definitely feed a combination. For holidays, I will make them special things like their birthday or what we think is their birthday. Or, the holidays, I will make like a special little, I don't know, little tofurkey loaf or whatever for them. Something a little bit special. You can home cook treats. A lot of people do that. My husband does that a lot. I am not a cook. I do not like the kitchen. The less time I spend in the kitchen, the better. I don't know why. I just don't have patience for it. I wish that I did. I really wish that I like to cook, but it's just not my thing. But my husband loves to do it. He makes homemade treats for the dogs all the time. So there's a million recipes online. Absolutely. And if you have a good recipe, please let me know. One, because Gary's always looking for recipes. But two, I would love to make a PDF. I would love to include it in some of my programs to encourage people to home cook, because usually what you make at home is head and shoulders above what you can buy. Which we're going to get into treats here in a minute. It's really a scary time. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's just not a lot of oversight. There's not a lot of oversight into human food. There's not a lot of regulations. Labels are mislabeled. And so you just really have to be careful about what you're feeding them. And then the other thing is, the smaller companies are getting bought out by the big companies. So just because a food was good a month ago, 6 months ago, now they're bought out. And as soon as they get bought out by the big guys, what do the big guys do? They change the ingredients because then it all becomes about profit. Believe it or not, Mars, yeah, the candy food company, they own most of the pet food industry. So not only being aware of what is in the food, but who owns the food, to make sure that they're not mismanaging and mislabeling. Like Blue Buffalo, they used to be a really, really good company. And I don't like to single out companies. I'm not going to recommend companies or I'll probably diss companies. But Blue Buffalo, they used to be really good. And then I think it was Mars that bought them out. I'm not sure. But they got bought out. And as soon as they changed ownership, they started changing the ingredients. And Blue Buffalo was actually sued by Purina, which I think is funny. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Purina sued them for mislabeling. They were saying that they didn't have byproducts and other things in there when they actually did. So just yeah. And I know I'm such a Debbie Downer, but just be careful, because it's so important what goes into your dog, because you really are what you eat. And there's so many dogs that have food allergies. There's so many people that have food allergies as well. So, what I'm saying about the dog food, please take to heart with people as well. Really read your labels, know what's in your food. My poor family, they call me the food Nazi. And my poor husband, he loves his junk food. And he's like, don't even tell me what's in it. I just want to enjoy it. And, the first thing I do is like, what's in it? What are those ingredients? I'm like, oh, do you know that these nuts, peanuts, had high fructose corn syrup in them? In peanuts. And really what alerted me to all of this for humans, of course, I've been into it for the dogs, but for humans, my mom has really bad celiac disease. And she is so gluten intolerant, and that's why it kind of triggers me when people call gluten-free diets as a diet fad. No, it's an allergy. She gets one crumb of wheat and it goes into her joints. And before she was diagnosed with the celiacs, they thought she had really bad arthritis, and she could barely walk up the steps. She could barely walk at all. It affected her joints and went into her knees. And once she was diagnosed and got off of the gluten, the symptoms disappeared. So food allergies are so symptomatic, or different things can be symptomatic of a food allergy. And if you have any humans in your life that are having chronic joint pain, please get them tested for celiacs and gluten intolerance, especially hereditarily. If they are Irish or have any Irish in them, I guess it's something that the Irish are prone to. Go figure. But keeping that in mind as we go along and as we read these food labels, if your dog has any of these allergies, it can really trigger them, even a small amount. And the things that you really want to keep in mind that you want to watch for are fillers. So let's move into what to look for, the ingredients to look for. So the first 3 ingredients in any label, whether it's dog food or a treat, you want to look for those first 3, because the first 3 percentage wise are what is most in there. Okay, they go the most to the least. So the first 3 are most important because percentage wise, that's what it includes the most of. Okay, same thing with human labels. You're going to hear me say this a lot. So reading the label, what you want to look for, number 1 is a protein source in your dog food, in your dog's diet. If you're going with a commercially prepared dog food, first thing is a protein source. What is the protein source? And you want it to be specific. Chicken, turkey, salmon, beef, not just poultry, not just fish. You want it to specify. The more specific they are, the better. Okay. So protein source. Now it may say meal, like chicken meal, salmon meal, and that's fine. What that means is that the fat and the water's been taken out. So molecularly, they can include more things. Okay, so meal just means that it's been dehydrated and the fat and the water's been taken out. So meal is fine, but you want them to be specific. Chicken, turkey, not just poultry. Salmon, trout, not just fish. Be specific. Also, what you want to look for is that it doesn't have any fillers. Now, a filler is the cheap stuff that that is not very nutrient dense and typically makes your dog go to the bathroom a lot. So if your dog is pooping 4-5 times a day, that's a red flag. See what's in there if there's fillers. Now, what are fillers? What's the cheap stuff? Corn, wheat, soy. And those are typically foods that your dog does not digest well. And they're very GMO prevalent. Soy, corn, wheat, high GMO. Okay. Not to get off on a tirade, not only can dogs be allergic to those grains, but those grains, especially corn, are susceptible to mold growth. So a lot of times the dogs may be allergic to mold that's growing on or is attracted to those ingredients. And you have to figure if you're buying a dry food, it's been in the store maybe 6 months, a year since it was produced. So of course, the longer the time frame from manufacturing, I don't want to say manufacturing, from cooking or from being prepared, I guess is the best way to pay it, from being prepared to being purchased, the longer that time frame, of course, the more likelihood that the nutrients are going to erode. It's the same thing with us. If you eat, a tomato that was picked a month ago, it doesn't have as much nutrients, or it's not as nutrient dense as a tomato picked from your own garden. I wish I had a green thumb. That's like, I wish I could grow my own food. I just can't do it. But home gardeners, oh my gosh, the faster you pick it to eating, the more nutrient dense it is. So the same thing with your dogs. And so corn, wheat, soy, those are complete deal breakers. You want to watch that their food doesn't have that in there at all. In fact, I would put it back if it does. Now, some dogs, like I mentioned before, do not do well on a grain-free diet. Now, there are some grains that are they grains? Are they seeds? How are they classified? But there's carbs. Not all dogs do well with 0 carbs. Not all people do well with 0 carbs. You do not want to see me if I haven't had a carb. Carbs do produce serotonin and dopamine in our brain. That's why people like myself get hooked on food and tend to have eating disorders, because we self-medicate with food. And carbs and sugar are huge for producing dopamine and serotonin in our brain. So I wonder if it does the same thing with the dogs. There haven't been any studies, but I would imagine so. But I know physically a lot of dogs do not do well without some sort of carb. Again, what'll happen is they have irritable bowel. They're going to the bathroom all the time. They're having loose stools. That's usually the biggest symptom you'll see, is loose stools, frequent stools. And that's kind of a red flag for you to kind of, maybe this isn't the right food for them. Okay, so carbs that are acceptable would be oats, barley, brown rice. Again, those are carbs that are rich in nutrients and also give energy. So those are acceptable carbohydrates. And it's fine if you, usually most dog food labels, you'll see the first thing listed is usually a protein source. And then the second and third is usually some sort of carb, oats, groats, brown rice, barley, something like that. And then bonuses to look for would be, if they had, broccoli, spinach, any of that good stuff. Probiotic, a lot of time they'll have a probiotic in there. Usually they will use like a vitamin E as a preservative. So reading the labels, oh my God, this is heavy. So let me read, this is what I feed my dogs. And the ingredients are chicken meal, brown rice, oat groats, chicken fat, preserved mixed with vitamin E, egg products, tomato, pearl barley, flaxseed meal. Oh, flaxseed is so good for you. Yeast, culture, fish oil, white fish meal, potassium, and it goes on. There's blueberries, and then magnesium, calcium, and different probiotics. So this is definitely acceptable. And I like this brand of dog food. And there's links to everything. Or if you can't find the links, just let me know and I'll send it to you. But I like Life's Abundance because one, they don't keep it in stores. So I know I'm getting it within, literally within 6 weeks of it being prepared, and they'll ship it to me. Because did I mention how lazy I am? I don't want to be schlepping 40 bags of dog food. Are you kidding me? I'm old. I want somebody to do things for me. So they ship it directly to me. They do have a warehouse in Fullerton. A lot of times if I'm running low, usually on cat food, I cannot be without cat food, or there is hell to pay if Mr. Blanks is hungry. So you can stop in at, there's a warehouse in Fullerton and they'll schlep it to the car for you too. I'm so lazy, you guys. But I also like it because it's employee owned. I know that they're never going to be bought out, and I like the employee owned aspect of it. But things you want to look for that weren't in that label, but if you saw things like sugar, artificial preservatives, red food coloring number whatever, or blue food coloring whatever, those are known carcinogens. So if there's artificial food coloring whatsoever, put it back. The fillers I mentioned, the corn, wheat, or the soy, put it back. Artificial preservatives, artificial color, anything artificial, put it back. Sugar, anything like that. You don't need sugar. Your dog doesn't need sugar. Put it back. Now, diet and mealtime is one thing. And it's so funny how we tend to be so on it with the meal. And we're so like, we're food snobs. And okay, my dog can't have that. My dog is on this diet, But the treats that we give them are horrible. And that being said, I just grabbed a couple of treats here. Trader Joe's. Okay, do not think that everything at Trader Joe's is good for you, or do not think that everything at Whole Foods is good for you, or organic, or anything like that. You still have to read the labels. See, I told you I was such a food Nazi. Read the food labels. So this I got Trader Joe's, and reading the ingredients. Chicken is the first ingredient. Second ingredient is wheat flour. Third ingredient is sugar. And then is dextrose, which is code for sugar. Chicken meal, glycerin, salt, dried cultured skim milk, natural smoke flavor. Okay, what is natural flavor? Natural flavor can be anything. A lot of candies and a lot of like gummy candies will say like natural coloring. And that can be, see, as a vegan, I know these things because they try and stick in meat products everywhere. So natural coloring, what they use as a natural coloring a lot of times is they'll grind up beetles. Beetles, a certain kind of beetle will give off like a reddish hue. So they'll grind up beetles and they'll use that as a natural coloring. Also musk. Yeah, it's what you think it is. They'll use that as a natural flavoring. So natural, what does that mean? Can you be more specific? Mixed and then mixed garlic. Oh, more natural flavoring. Yeah. So this is not very good. I would not pick this one because of the sugar and the flour in it. But also at Trader Joe's, not to diss Trader Joe's because I love me Trader Joe's. They have this one, chicken tenders, dog treats, and reading the label, one ingredients, deboned chicken. That's the only ingredient. So this is a yay, the other is a no. So read your ingredients. Read your ingredients. What else do I have here? Newman's Own. Okay. Love Newman, love the organic, but don't go by this. You want to go by this. And ingredients, organic chicken, yay, organic. Organic oat flour is the second ingredient. So if your dog had a gluten intolerance, which a lot of dogs do, believe it or not, especially your continuous hair growth dogs like your poodles and your Shih Tzus, your Bichons, your Malteses, a lot of their like licking behavior is actually a wheat allergy. It's very common. Third ingredient is organic barley flour, organic molasses, and then you have organic sugar. More organic cultured skim milk. Why are they putting milk? Dogs don't digest milk that well. Cow's milk anyway. And organic potato flour. Okay, so yeah, this, because the sugar alone, I would say no. Read your labels. Read your labels. Honestly, making your treats is probably the best that you can do. One of the best treats that you can do is just take a chicken breast, boil it, and then pull off pieces. And you've got a very high value treat. It's very easy to put in a Kong and then put some kibble on top to keep your dog interested because they can smell the chicken at the bottom. So it's almost like the dessert. They have to work through their meal to get to the dessert. And then you save the water that you boiled the chicken breast in. And then you kind of zhuzh up the kibble, kind of soak the kibble in that so it expands, so it tastes and smells like the chicken, and then you can freeze the whole thing. So and it's one ingredient, you know what it is. Yeah, as a vegan, that's how much I love my dogs. I'll actually touch dead chicken. That's how much I love them. So use that. And if you have cats and you boil a chicken breast, you will be your cat's best friend. Oh my gosh, Mr. Blinks goes crazy. He smells it. I'll boil it and it won't even be on for very long and he'll come running and chatters at me, and it's so funny. I'll have all three of them, I'll have the two dogs and the cat sitting there begging. And yes, you best believe the cat does tricks too. He knows how to sit and come and do all of that other stuff. But just boil a chicken breast, and then you can break off the fresh pieces. You can also, if you have a dehydrator or even a toaster oven, put it at a low temperature and kind of make your own little turkey, chicken jerky, whatever, strips, or strips that you buy that have already been prepared like that. Or go on the internet. There's tons of recipes. Just figure out what your dog likes, and whatever treat you make sure you make them work for it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, no free lunch. Remember, remember our previous video from yesterday. Make them work for everything, especially that high valued stuff like the chicken and the jerky. Oh my goodness, make them work for that. Make your cat work for it too. But get in the habit of reading those labels. Whatever goes into your dog, read the label. Whatever goes into you, read the label. I am the food Nazi. And I have to tell you, I didn't used to be like this for sure. I, what really got me obsessed with nutrition and food was watching my dad die from cancer. It was horrible. It was horrible. As all of you, I'm sure there's not one person who hasn't been touched by cancer, and how it just sucks the life out of somebody. And it's just a horrible thing to watch them deteriorate like that. And it was even more meaningful to me because my dad was diagnosed. I swear, I never have any downtime. Most of you know my oldest son was born with some very severe issues. He had 3 surgeries before he was a year old. He wasn't even, God, I can't even talk about it. He wasn't even supposed to survive. In fact, they told me don't get attached. And I tell him that story all the time. And every birthday, he's like, yeah, look at me. He's 26 now, so all's well that ends well. But he had 3 surgeries before he was a year. And each time I handed him over, not knowing if I would get him back or not. Once the last surgery, and I remember he was in the NICU and over his little bassinet then, and my dad came in, and well, first the doctor came in and said, he's going to be okay. Everything's fine. We're moving him to a regular room now. We're good. And then my dad came in. I had like 20 minutes. I swear to you, I had like 20 minutes of whoosh, life is good. I can breathe again. And then my dad came in and said, that his PSA was off the charts, and he had prostate cancer. And then he got treatment. Flash forward 3 years, and I was pregnant again with Harrison, and it came back with a vengeance, and it went every place, and into his bone, into his brain. I mean, that's the thing with cancer, is it just explodes. And I remember as Harrison life was growing in me, the life was being sucked out of my dad. And I remember thinking, I don't want this to happen to my kids. I want to protect my kids. I want to get them healthy and happy and good nutritional habits so that this never happens to them. And I also want to make sure that I'm healthy so that they don't have to go through what I went through. And it's horrible. It's just horrible. So take care of yourself. Where did I get off on this subject? Taking care of yourself is the least selfish thing you can do. Because if you're not healthy and strong, you can't take care of those people that depend on you, like your dog. If you don't have kids, I'm sure you have people that love you, and your dog depends on you every day. And working with the rescues, I can't tell you how many times, and I guess I should do just a whole new video on this or send out emails on this, but how many times dogs come to the rescue because the owner is incapacitated. The owner has died. The owner has Alzheimer's or is in cancer treatment or whatever the situation is. So taking care of yourself is the least selfish thing you can do. Make time, eat healthy, exercise, wash your hands, and do think about what would happen to your dog if you haven't already. Make sure that you have somebody that will take care of them, because even if we're healthy, we could still get in an accident. Who knows what the future brings. I mean, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's who knows what the hell can happen, right? I mean, my kids know, my poor kids are like, if anything happens to us, you get the animals. Yeah, you get the house and everything else, but you get the animals, and they're perfectly fine with that. So make sure you have arrangements. I mean, your dog, your cats, they're your kids. And just like you would make arrangements for a human child if something were to happen to you, again, hopefully it wouldn't be long term, but even short term. If you broke your leg and you ended up, I'm such a downer, aren't I? I'm so negative, but I've just been around too long and I've seen too many things, professionally and personally. So take care of yourself, take care of your dog, and just take care. So read your labels, know what goes in, because you are what you eat. Whatever the species, you are what you eat, and just be aware. Now, the last thing I want to mention, I do want to talk group classes. For those of you here locally, my group classes are starting this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'm starting a new round of all my classes. So check out my website or give me a holler if you're not sure what class you want to attend. And I do want to mention that I am launching a brand new program today. I call it my 90-Day Dog Program. And it's an immersion program. So what that means is it's 12 weeks. You get to come to all the group classes. We're going to do more Facebook Lives like this. You're going to have another private Facebook group where you can, support each other. Every other week, I'm going to do a Facebook Live training. I'm also going to have special guests. Yay, I'm so excited. My friend Stephanie Lozano, who is a registered vet technician, is going to come on, and she's going to give you some first aid tips and some things, again, physically to look for your dog and what to do if you notice these symptoms. And my extra special guest I'm very excited about is Cody Scott, who is a firefighter. And yes, the last name is no coincidence. He's my nephew, and I couldn't be prouder of him. But not only is he not an accomplished firefighter, he's also a dog owner. He's a lover. His little dog Kira is the light of his life, and he's going to come on. He's going to talk about fire safety, car safety. He's going to demonstrate his little what does he call it? His bag for his dog. He calls it something. I don't know. He'll tell you. But he's going to come on and give you some tips. And I'm going to talk more like this on different subjects. Maybe I'm going to talk every other Friday afternoon. That's a tongue twister. We'll do a Facebook Live like this and different subjects, keeping you on task. And I designed this program just for that, to keep you on task. Because again, training's easy to do, but it's easy not to do. And the 12 weeks, so every week we're going to go through different topics, and I'm going to give you support materials. It comes with a digital course. I am loving the digital courses. I've gotten a lot of feedback that you guys are loving the digital courses too, because I realize that there's a lot of distractions in a group class. There's distractions for us too. So the digital course, it just provides you that extra layer of support where you can go back on your own time and you can go review the material. I'm going to have lots of different support PDFs, different PowerPoints, different videos, and just to keep you on track. But we're going to go week by week, and I'm going to put in new material every week, so you can't go ahead. You got to work on this week's stuff. And we want to make sure that we're getting those results, because the one thing I've seen over the years that leads to training not being as successful as we'd want it is consistency. And I think a lot of that comes from, I mean, it's just easy not to do. So I really want to get you in the habit of doing this. So the 90-day, can't talk, the 90-day dog program launches today, and you're going to be getting an email on that. Oh my gosh, maybe I need something to drink or something stronger to drink. I don't know. And it's only going to be open for a week. So you have 1 week to join. And next Friday is going to be our very first Facebook Live. And once you join, you have unlimited access to everything, but only for 90 days. You get it for 3 months. So it's going to take you through the holidays and into, God help us, whatever 2021 has in store. I can't help you prepare for much for next year, but I can help you prepare your dog. That I can help you with. So it's going to take you for 3 months and hopefully really motivate you to jumpstart and work with your dog and do this and get them on the right track. So that being said, if you have questions, please comment below. Again, please comment below. Let me know what you got out of this, and definitely let me know what you'd like to see in a program, what you'd like me to talk about, or what you'd like me to stop talking about. And comment below, call me, text me, email me. I'm always a phone call away. If you want some more information about the 90-day dog program, or about the classes, or about anything food, you know I can talk about any subject. I think getting me to talk isn't the problem. Getting me to shut up is the problem. Like now, I can't stop talking. I really have a problem. So contact me, let me know what you'd like to see, or if you have questions, and hopefully I'll see you this week. Okay. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I know you have a million other things you could do with your time, and you chose to take this time to learn more about making your dog healthier and happier. So make sure you give yourself a treat. You deserve it. So anyway, bye for now, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Wash your hands. I'm a mom before everything else. Don't make me go a mom on you. Wash your hands, wear a mask, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye for now.